What do people not take seriously enough? Local politics generally affect the lives of you and your family to a far greater extent than national politics. But since they aren't as flashy, they're generally controlled by retirees, schools, roads, local environmental ordinances, and countless other important decisions are made at the local level. Unfortunately, it takes a bit of googling to figure out what the structure of local elections are and what issues local candidates care about. But everyone should do it. It can really help or harm your community. Distracted driving. Driving in general actually. Yeah. This is number 1 in my book. There is literally nothing else you do every day that can easily kill yourself, your family or others with only a microsecond error. It seems every time I get on the road, there's at least several people that basically almost murder me, just because they're impatient or inattentive. Joint health. Bruh, take care of your fucking joints. Any tips? Exercise regularly and do your dynamic stretches often. Eat quality foods and take your vitamins. Watch for the signs of arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. The sooner you can catch it, the better your quality of life will be. This stuff is so common in early adulthood it's scary. Lots of people in their late 20s 30s already having arthritis. Stairs. It's all fun and games until you miss a step, fall down, tear multiple muscles, require surgery, months of physical therapy, thousands of dollars in expenses even with insurance, and all just to get back to 90% of your pre-injury mobility. Death. As in, less than a third of my friends over 40 years of age have even thought about getting a will drafted and notarized. You might be in good health now, but you might also get blindsided by a drunk driver on your way home from work. Who's going to get your stuff? Who's going to take care of your funeral arrangements? Do you want to be embalmed, cremated, or something else? And most importantly, who's going to delete your internet history? Parenting. It's not about sheltering and providing every little thing they need. You're not their vending machine. It's about teaching them and equipping them with the knowledge and the tools to make it on their own and to be a good person. Kids need to be taught how to navigate the world. This requires effort, but it is worth it. I've often said that if you have raised a child, you have failed. If you raised an adult, good. That's what you are supposed to end up with. Not littering. It breaks my heart how little people care. Why is it still considered acceptable to toss cigarette butts on the ground? Every time I see this I immediately know that person is a complete piece of shit. Put it out. And find a garbage can. Being overworked. EHH. It's just the job. No. You shouldn't be expected to work 10+ hours day in day out. The current meter for working is horrifically unhealthy. Quite literally work to death. People say to work hard now till you retire, at which point your physical and mental health has probably deteriorated to which you cannot enjoy your wealth. I'm on the job hunt right now. I saw an ad for work at a fish processing plant in Alaska. I have no plans to move to Alaska, but I decided to read the ad for fun. It literally said be prepared to work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. No amount of money is worth that kind of misery and the inevitable toll on your physical and mental health. Heart disease. I have family members that spend hours and hours practicing shooting guns and planning for the remote chance of a home invasion, but are severely overweight, never exercise, and haven't been to the DR in years. I'm gun nut. It's incredible how these people around me will train and spend when it comes to defending themselves from others, but won't do any exercise beyond walking to the fridge to take care of themselves. This is excluding people who shoot just for fun. I'm talking the gotta defend myself people. Fucking ridiculousimo. I'll also hear about them taking a gun with them when out and about but not a cell phone. Bruh, your cell phone has the more potential to save a life than your gun. I'm as staunch a gun nut as it gets. But FCK, some of these people can't balance odds for shit. Their hearing. If you hear ringing after a loud event, you've already done irreversible damage to your hearing. But you won't notice until you're older. Hearing loss in old age is incredibly isolating. You lose access to friends and family. Hearing aids are a poor substitute to hearing and don't always work well. Source: I'm deaf. 1. And work for a charity giving free hearing equipment to hearing impaired people such as TV listeners, personal listeners, amplified telephones, doorbells, etc. 95% of our clients are elderly and 95% of them say our equipment are life-changing and they become so much less isolated after our visit. 1. Born profoundly deaf with absolutely zero residual hearing. A rarity even amongst born deaf people. You'd be surprised how many people think I've got it hardest of all deaf hearing impaired people. But that's completely wrong. It's those who lose their hearing in later life have it so much worse. Young people don't take themselves in a serious manner. I really can't understand the approach of, oh, he's still a kid teenager, up to the time when you already have to stand up for yourself and be a grown-ass man woman. It's like you will learn that in college. But in college they tell you that you should already know this from high school. That's like lesson 1 for grown-ups. There are no grown-ups. You just are. Asterisk. Mental illnesses. People think that you're fine but inside you are slowly getting destroyed by their comments like, you are faking it. It's a lie. Depression is not a joke. It's important to take good care of people with it. Bipolar disorder isn't something due to drugs. I could list more but you understand what I meant. Petty grievances. The first few might be pretty, but they stop being petty in short order. Pretty soon the camel's back is broken and the person is losing control. It's hard to complain about petty things. Screaming because someone didn't put a mop bucket away. Or whatever little thing. But when they have been dealing with it for months or years, and probably other things, they are at the end of what they can deal with. Driving. There are an insane amount of shitty drivers out there who don't seem to take the rules of the road seriously in any way. Then you have people racing and playing other stupid games. Cars aren't toys. They're basically death machines. Stop f***ing around. Put down your damn phone and learn how to f***ing drive properly before you kill someone. Taking the time to figure out the difference between someone who is difficult and someone toxic. Dealing with difficult people, or just people who are difficult for one to handle once in a while, is a part of life, and learning to deal with it is important to get pretty much anything someone might really want. On the other hand, toxic people are to be avoided and sometimes no benefit conferred by being in any sort of relationship, work, romantic, social, with that person is worth staying in. Sometimes people jump ship too quickly. Sometimes they stay in bad situations way too long. Guys, watch your blood pressure. 1 year ago, I came home from work and going to sleep. I stand near mirror in my room, and next moment I was lying on floor. I tried to smile in mirror and only half of my face was smiling. I have an insult. I called ambulance and have a brain surgery. But still, my left side of body aren't moving, and I must use wheelchair to move around. So I'm careful. It's simple, but very important. The toll that prolonged stress can take. We get so used to stress that we don't even really consciously realize what it's doing to us and therefore believe it's a sign of weakness. It doesn't have to be stress caused by huge upheavals. Little stresses over time can end up severely impacting your mental and physical health because we don't recognize it or respect ourselves enough to take action. Giving yourself small breaks or meditating once in a while is great, but it doesn't make up for the damage that prolonged stress does to you over the course of years. Making real, impactful changes to our lives is hard and goes against many of the things especially millennials are taught. Always got to be hustling. Just suck it up. Your failures are your own 100% of the time and your life situation has nothing to do with it. Bullshit. Take care of yourself and demand what you need. Long-term financial planning such as saving for retirement. I know people who make good money but save nothing in their 401k and instead inflate their lifestyle as much as possible with the most expensive house, car, etc. they can afford. Gonna be a rough road ahead if you spend your 30s and 40s not saving anything for the future. I'm expecting that most people in their 30s today are probably not going to peacefully retire. I think about that every time I see a climate change article. My retirement plan is to be killed in mass displacement chaos brought on by flooding and the destruction of food sources. I'm a millennial, and the lack of budgeting and saving that people my age do is very concerning. I have a co-worker who complained to me that she's living paycheck to paycheck while renting a luxury apartment and paying off a nice new SUV. Being nearly deaf. For example, in school the past years. You don't wear glasses even if you are supposed to? Oh yeah, sure, no problem, I'm sorry. You can't hear anything at all? Listen more carefully and stop talking to your mates, or if I ask kindly to repeat it, they usually just reply listen better next time and don't repeat themselves. And yes, they all know about it. It was so annoying to deal with, doesn't matter where you are. They immediately always judge you for not listening and being lazy, even though this was never the case. Sadly, most likely nothing will ever happen about it because people can't see it, and being nearly deaf is so rare people don't take it seriously. Fiscal responsibility. Speaking from experience. Nobody really warns you how easy it is to fall thousands in debt just in 1 year's time. You should save before you move out. And no matter what your housemate or SO say, you should never spend more money than you have just because you're confident you can pay it back. Because if you wind up not being able to, the snowball accumulates very quick. All it took for myself was 1 month of letting the fiancé spend a little extra. And then she failed to pay it back on next rent. Then internet didn't get paid. Tried to keep the apartment, so we fell behind on the car payment. Had to pay on that so we didn't lose the car. And then couldn't pay rent again. Could have been avoided had I either had a backup emergency fund or had I simply said no to my SO when she wanted to overspend. Drinking culture. People think it's okay to go out and get wasted 2-5 times a week. And it's just the norm. You are literally pouring poison into your body that will eventually cause irreparable damage. And when you make the choice not to drink, people act like it's a personal insult to them. I've had many occasions when I've been offered a drink and I refuse, and the person tries to force me to drink it. Or in a group setting when everyone is drinking, multiple people will come up to me and act annoyed that they have never seen me drink. It drives me up the wall. I don't mind if others drink. But in the end it's not a healthy pastime and I don't want to do it to myself. People should respect that. Part of that, I think, stems from people who don't know how to have a good time without drinking. They associate that alcohol and fun can't exist without one another, so they try to have as much fun as they can and it just spirals out of control. That's not to say drinking isn't fun. It is when you're with good friends. But it's not an activity I'd like to partake in every night of the week. Old people driving. After working in a pharmacy for 2.5 years, I've noticed that a good chunk of our customers are not 100% with it. I have to ask for their birthdays and too many of them have to take time to process what I said and remember their own birthday. That and the medications they're taking are ones you shouldn't be driving on. Someone young with life left is gonna die if we don't seriously reassess who is allowed on the road. I have literally seen a regular get into their car and immediately run a stop sign within the lot, almost hitting a mother and child as I was walking into my shift. Scares the shitty out of me to imagine what they're like merging onto a highway. Sleep deprivation. Likely one of the single biggest killers in developed society. Aids in the progression of heart diseases, cancer, Alzheimer's, depression, anxiety, and just about every other known disease. Also causes significantly more car accidents than alcohol and all other drugs combined. Over 80% of US adults qualify as being chronically sleep deprived, yet only about 40% acknowledge that they are. Critical thinking and education. I understand they've been talked about ad nauseum. But that's because not a lot of people are taking it seriously. And a lot of what people complain about could be helped if they'd just read a few damn books on critical thinking and help those around them understand the information. It would fix a lot we deal with as a society if we could build solid curriculum around strengthening critical thinking skills and teaching epistemology, and if we could, God willing, fund efforts to do this. Nutrition diet. Finances. Being financially responsible. These two I feel should be taught way more thoroughly in schools. Men not having to be, only, tough and hide their feelings. You then have a bunch of women trying to begin families with men who don't know how to communicate or feel like they shouldn't or don't have to. It's hard trying to communicate with brick walls. Kindness being a sign of weakness. Egos getting in the way of opportunities to grow.